Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really fascinating area where secrets and power collide.
Right, a space where information is more than just knowledge. It's a force. It can change things overnight.
Exactly. We're talking about those moments when classified stuff suddenly comes out into the open.
Or when some piece of high-tech military gear kept under wraps for ages suddenly gets used.
So we've gathered a stack of reports and articles for you today, our mission, to navigate through some major recent leaks of sensitive U.S. intelligence.
Yeah, mostly focused on the Russo-Ukrainian War, but it also touches on intelligence about, North Korea, China, Iran.
And almost tied into that, we're going to dive headfirst into the tech designed to hit some of the very sites mentioned in those leaks.
The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator. The bunker buster.
So our goal is to unpack what all this tells us about global security today, about modern intelligence.
And the powerful tools nations have. We want to give you the context so you understand why these details really matter.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's start with those Pentagon document leaks from 2022-2023. They really sent shockwaves, didn't they?
They really did.
Yeah.
And the origin story is, well, it's kind of low-tech in a way.
Right. It starts with Airman First Class Jack Teixeira. The allegation is he photographed printouts of classified documents.
Not some complex cyber attack, but actually taking pictures of paper in his parents' house.
Apparently so. It's quite a reminder about security vulnerabilities, basic ones.
So what kind of information are we talking about, and where did these photos end up?
We're talking serious volume and sensitivity. Over 100 pages.
Wow.
Mostly detailed info on the Russo-Ukrainian War,
Mm-hmm.
troop movements, casualties, that sort of thing.
But not just that, right?
No, it also included really sensitive intelligence assessments, stuff on North Korea, China, Iran, even the UAE.
And he posted this where, not exactly on Facebook, I assume.
He allegedly put these images on a small, private Discord server called Thug Shaker Central.
A gaming chat server, basically.
Something like that, yeah. And from that small group, it just exploded.
Right. It lead from Discord to 4chan.
Yes, the anonymous image board. And then very quickly onto pro-Russian Telegram channels.
And that's where the manipulation started happening, isn't it?
That's a huge part of the story. We know at least one document image was altered.
How so?
It was changed to show way more Ukrainian casualties compared to Russian ones.
So it immediately became part of the disinformation war. It's not just the leak itself, but how it's twisted.
Precisely. The weaponization of the information is almost instantaneous.
What were the immediate consequences? Diplomatically, I mean.
It definitely caused a diplomatic crisis is the term used, especially with the Five Eyes allies.
Yeah, me quickly remind folks what the Five Eyes alliance is.
Sure. It's the core intelligence sharing group. The US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
So a leak impacting them hits right at the heart of trust and cooperation.
Exactly. It undermines how these close allies work together on global security. So, yeah, a big deal.
And this led to investigations.
Oh, yeah. A major interagency assessment kicked off DoD, White House, State Department, the intelligence community.
Which ultimately led to Teixeira's arrest.
Correct. And meanwhile, you had countries named in the leaks, like South Korea and Egypt, pushing back, denying the claims.
And Ukraine and Russia.
They both sort of downplayed the significance, suggesting maybe it was distorted information or even a false flag, everyone scrambling to control the narrative.
It really makes you wonder why these leaks always cause such a stir. I mean, it's not exactly a new problem for the U.S., is it? This history goes way back.
It really does. You can find parallels even before the U.S. was officially founded. Think about the Hutchinson letters in 1773.
Remind me about those.
Benjamin Franklin got hold of private letters from Thomas Hutchinson, the royal governor of Massachusetts.
Okay. Yeah.
The letters showed Hutchinson pushing for much stricter British control. Franklin leaked them.
And the heck.
It massively fueled anti-British anger, directly fed into the lead-up to the Revolution. A classic example of leaked info changing history.
Fast forward to World War I. The Zimmermann Telegram, 1917.
Another huge one. British intelligence intercepted and decoded this German telegram.
What did it say?
It proposed a military alliance between Germany and Mexico against the U.S. if America entered the war.
And the British leaked it to the Americans.
They did. And it played a significant role in pushing the U.S. towards entering World War I. Intelligence strategically revealed, altering geopolitics.
Then in more recent memory, you have things like the Pentagon Papers in 71.
Yeah, it's revealing government deception about Vietnam. Huge blow to public trust.
And then the digital age brought WikiLeaks, Chelsea Manning, in 2010.
Exposing enormous amounts of military and diplomatic records.
Followed by Edward Snowden in 2013, revealing the scale of NSA surveillance.
Yeah. So there's this consistent thread running through centuries, really.
Which seems to be this constant battle, right, between the government needing secrecy for national security.
And the public's right, or desire, to know what's being done in their name.
And almost always, serious legal trouble for the leakers, usually under the Espionage Act.
Absolutely. The motivations claimed by leakers vary. You hear about crisis of conscience or trying to improve the system.
But regardless of motive, the act of leaking itself just exposes this fundamental tension.
It really does. It forces a reevaluation of what national security even means when information itself is so fluid and, frankly, weaponizable. And the damage can be incredibly severe.
When you say damage, what does that actually mean in practice? It's more than just embarrassment, right?
Oh, much more. When sources and methods are revealed, that's intelligence jargon for how we gather information. The damage is profound.
So not just what we know, but how we know it.
Exactly. Are we talking about signals intelligence, like listening in on Russian military communications? Is it a human source, someone risking their life inside a foreign government?
Our specific technical capabilities, maybe.
All of the above. Revealing that stuff is like handing your adversary the instruction manual on how to defeat your intelligence gathering.
They can plug holes, change procedures.
Hunt for the human sources. It puts lives in immediate danger. It compromises future operations, potentially for years. The damage can be deep and long-lasting. It really underscores why protecting classified information is considered so critical.
Okay, that definitely puts the stakes into perspective.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears now from the world of secrets and leaks to something very tangible.
The spearhead of power, as you called it earlier?
Yeah, the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, the MOP. This is the tech developed partly because of the kinds of secrets and hidden facilities we've been talking about.
It's an impressive piece of engineering, no doubt, developed by Boeing for the Air Force.
And its job description is pretty simple, right?
It's extremely simple, conceptually. It's a 30,000-pound precision-guided bomb designed purely to destroy deeply buried, hardened targets. Things conventional bombs just can't touch.
So how does a 30,000-pound bomb actually do that? Walk us through the physics, maybe in simple terms.
Okay, think about throwing something into sand. A light tennis ball might just bounce off or make a small dent. But throw a small, really dense, heavy object, like a lead weight, it burrows deep before it stops.
Okay, I get that.
The MOP is that principle scaled up massively. It's incredibly heavy, dense, and shaped aerodynamically. It's dropped from very high altitude.
So it builds up enormous speed and energy.
Exactly. It uses pure kinetic energy, its weight and velocity, to smash through layers of protection. Concrete, reinforced concrete, earth.
It punches through before exploding.
That's the key. It penetrates deep inside the target first. Then, a delayed fuse detonates the main explosive payload.
Maximizing the damage inside the buried structure.
Precisely. It's about getting the explosion where it counts, deep underground.
What are the key parts that make this possible? You mentioned its weight.
Well, there's the casing. It's made from a special high-density Eglin steel alloy. Incredibly tough stuff, designed just for this kind of extreme impact and penetration.
And the explosive payload.
It's substantial. Over 5,000 pounds of specialized explosives packed inside.
And it's guided. It's not just a dumb bomb falling.
Oh no, highly precise. It uses GPS and an inertial navigation system, or INS. That ensures it hits very close to the intended target, even dropped from miles up.
You also mentioned a smart fuse earlier. What makes it smart?
Right, the LPSF Large Penetrator Smart Fuse. This isn't just a timer counting down.
Okay.
It's more sophisticated. It can apparently sense the layers of material it's passing through Earth, concrete, maybe voids, and calculate the optimal moment to detonate.
So it knows when it's punched through the defenses and reached the intended depth.
That's the idea, to make sure the blast happens inside the target facility, not just in the overlying rock or soil.
And the penetration capability. How deep can this thing actually go?
And exact figures are classified and debated, of course, but reports suggest somewhere around 60 feet. That's about 18 meters of reinforced concrete.
60 feet of concrete. That's huge.
Or maybe 200 feet, around 60 meters of earth. It's an astonishing capability designed for the hardest targets out there.
Given its size and weight, can just any plane carry this? Or is it specialized?
Highly specialized. Because it's so massive, 30,000 pounds, only specific U.S. strategic bombers can carry it.
Which ones?
Currently the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, and it's planned for the upcoming B-21 Raider as well.
So this capability, this specific type of weapon, is it pretty much exclusive to the U.S.?
Largely, yes. Developing, testing, and deploying something like the MOP, plus the aircraft needed to deliver it, requires enormous investment in R&D and industrial capacity.
It's a unique tool in the toolbox.
It is. It reflects a strategic focus on being able to counter these deeply buried, hardened threats that some nations are building.
Which brings us neatly to its first reported combat use,
Yeah,
targeting Iranian nuclear facilities. These have been a major international concern for years.
absolutely. Especially facilities like Fordo and Natanz, they aren't just underground, they're deep underground.
How deep are we talking?
Fordo is believed to be buried under more than 80 meters of rock and soil, built into a mountain. It's a subterranean fortress.
80 meters. That's like a 25-story building underground.
Roughly, yeah. Natanz, the original parts are maybe 20 meters deep, but newer halls are thought to be even deeper.
And the construction itself is tough.
Reports mention Iran using very high-strength concrete, maybe over 30,000 psi. That's incredibly strong, designed to resist penetration.
Posing a direct challenge even for something like the MOP.
Exactly. And General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, actually stated that the MOP was specially developed with Fordo in mind ever since its construction became public knowledge about 15 years ago.
So this weapon was conceived and built over more than a decade, anticipating this specific kind of challenge. That's long-term strategic planning.
It really is a major investment to counter a specific perceived threat.
And then came the strikes. June 22nd, 2025.
A historic date. 7 B-2 bombers reportedly dropping 14 MOPs in total.
14. Wow. Where'd they hit?
12 were apparently targeted at Fordo, the deepest facility, and 2 at Natanz.
Marking the very first time the GBU-57 was used in combat.
Correct. A significant event moving from development and testing to actual operational use.
But then, almost immediately, the information battle began, right? About how successful it actually was.
Yes, fascinatingly so. An initial report, supposedly leaked from the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, surfaced.
What did that initial report suggest?
It apparently offered a preliminary assessment, maybe with low confidence, that the strikes might only set back Iran's nuclear program by months.
Only months after dropping 14 MOPs.
Right.
That sounds underwhelming.
It does, and U.S. officials pushed back very strongly and very quickly against that narrative.
Who specifically?
You had Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, General Kane himself, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, all coming out with robust defenses of the operation.
What was their counter-narrative?
They used terms like severely damaged, obliterated, destroyed. Hegseth directly criticized the media coverage of the leaked report, suggesting it was muddying the waters and pushing an agenda.
So a clear conflict between the initial leaked assessment and the official public stance.
A very stark one. It shows how difficult damage assessment can be, especially for buried targets, and how quickly information becomes contested ground.
Even the head of the IAEA, the nuclear watchdog, weighed in, didn't he?
Yes, Rafael Grossi. He acknowledged the difficulty, saying essentially that no one is in a position to have fully assessed the underground damage at Fordo.
But he expected it to be significant.
He did say he expected it to be very significant. So his statement sort of reflects the uncertainty, but leans towards major impact.
It really highlights the complexity, doesn't it? You have the strike itself, and then this whole other layer of information control, conflicting reports, and the inherent difficulty of knowing for sure what happened deep underground.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even with the most powerful conventional weapons, controlling the narrative and assessing the true impact remains a huge challenge.
And with that, we've covered quite a bit in this deep dive. We've gone from leaks exposing secrets
to the history of such leaks, the damage they can cause to intelligence sources and methods,
and then into the development and first use of an incredibly powerful weapon, the GBU-57 MOP, designed precisely to counter hitting threats.
And finally, the information war that immediately follows such an action.
It really underscores that information today isn't just something to be guarded, it's also a weapon itself, easily distorted, easily manipulated.
As we saw with those altered documents from the Texera leaks, the battle over perception is constant.
So the thought we want to leave you with is this. In a world where intelligence gathering is more sophisticated than ever, where the tools to project power are incredibly advanced,
but where information can also leak or be manipulated so easily, how does a nation strike that balance?
How do you protect vital secrets and maintain national security while also maintaining transparency and trust, both with your own citizens and with your allies.
It's a really complex tightrope walk, and it's only getting more challenging in our hyper-connected, information-saturated age, something that requires ongoing vigilance and critical thinking from all of us as we consume information.